Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
We live in such a divided world today, and it's because we don't take the time to learn about each other's culture.
We'll show you why bells, big feathers, and bare feet made their way to Cache Valley and how you can bring it into your home.
Kokanee salmon are running through the river. We'll show you what happens when you mess with the wildlife.
They can only change the volumes up so much.
We'll show you how fewer routes on the climbing wall isn't stopping USU's climbing club from going even higher.
It's a great time to take one of these bad boys out for a ride. I'll show you how much longer you can do that in weather.
I'll show you which football team losing streak ended and which one continued this week.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
Hurricane Ian left a mess for residents as they return home, while Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced multiple recovery plans for the affected cities. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Katie Varga.
And I'm Claire Scott. DeSantis says during a search of 79,000 structures, there were over 2,300 rescues.
There's more urban search and rescue capability in Florida since this storm than has ever been in one place, in one state, since 9/11.
The affected residents are returning to their destroyed property. About 840,000 residents haven't had power for days, while others lost their homes completely.
Last week, we reported on a 6-car crash where a Ford F-150 drifted into an oncoming traffic, killing a Brigham City man. Troopers have released the name of the man responsible for the crash. 38-year-old Luis Robles was booked Wednesday into Cache County Jail on a warrant for his arrest. Robles has a record of being in possession of controlled substances and driving on a suspended or revoked license. According to jail records, Robles is being held without bail in the 1st District Court.
Sigma Phi Epsilon is facing backlash for a series of screenshots of their private Slack chat that were posted online. The screenshots showed messages between members discussing vulgar and sexual topics. Cole Lancaster came forward with a screenshot explaining how this kind of behavior isn't appropriate in a professional chat.
But this behavior online is perpetuating toxic masculinity and rape culture and other different aspects that are larger than just locker room talk and receiving a 1-hour sexual harassment training.
Sigma Phi Epsilon's official statement on their matter says that these communications were previously investigated by the Title IX office and no formal wrongdoing was found.
You may have been to Hawaii or at least seen pictures online, but this time Cache Valley Center for the Arts brought parts of the island to you. JC Caldwell shows us how and why you can learn more from it, just from the hula.
The crowd cheered as Tau Dance Theater took center stage to perform indigenous Hawaiian dances. The dance group performed the traditional hula and songs of their ancestors. They wore feathers and bells that represent their heritage.
If you come to be entertained, we will entertain you. And I take no offense. But if you come to find deeper spiritual connection, you will find it and you'll feel it.
Cache Valley Arts paid their way to the Beehive State with a national grant. A grant that Cache Arts Director Wendy Hassan said was money well spent.
In Cache Valley, we're a little limited sometimes in our access to different cultures, and yet we have a strong appreciation, I think. But when we can have a group come that's not tied to the university, that's not tied to a religious organization, and can just share what they do and bring the best of what the world has to offer to us, it's an amazing way to open your eyes and see what else is out there.
The group stayed on island time, only staying in Logan for 3 days, making the most of their time.
Their performance here showed the dance is a huge part of their Hawaiian culture. It maintains tradition and tells the stories of their ancestors, but it isn't their entire culture. During their visit, they also paid customs of respect by participating in a land recognition ceremony here.
On behalf of my Shoshone people, I welcome you to Sivagoi. That's what we call this place.
Tao Dance Theater started their trip by asking permission from the local Shoshone tribe to enter the land.
In indigenous cultures, we honor the land. We honor the first peoples of the land. It's just a tradition that carries over from not just indigenous Native American culture, but into their culture too.
The group paid their respects.
When I touch noses with that elder, that's one of the highest honors that their culture can give.
And followed cultural traditions.
The sage is a purification ceremony. It purifies those that are there. It is healing for the land.
Organizers and community members couldn't help but say mahalo to the group for bringing more diversity and culture to Logan.
We live in such a divided world today, and it's because we don't take the time to learn about each other's culture.
JC Caldwell, ATV News.
Hassan says the next group to come to Logan will be Sir Kay Calabante on November 16th.
LDS leaders held a semi-annual conference that brought about change to the church. President Russell M. Nelson, the prophet of the church, made various announcements regarding changes and updates to youth programs and the announcement of 18 new temples. President Nelson spoke to those that listened to make more time for the temple.
My dear brothers and sisters, may you focus on the temple in ways you never have before.
None of the new temples announced are in Utah. 4 of them are near Mexico City, and 5 are located in the United States. For the full list of all 18 temples, visit our Facebook page.
The Inclusion Center hosted their first ever Fat Liberation Fest. Verl Johansson shows you what fat liberation means and how they face the scale.
Pins, coffee, and donuts were in the Inclusion Center office to start the Fat Liberation Fest. This new event at Utah State had people curious about what fat liberation means.
There's a huge amount of fat bias and it affects a lot of people. And so fat liberation is all about actively fighting back against that.
The purpose?
I want to take the morality out of it. Fat is not a bad word. It's not any more than tall, short is a bad word. It's just a descriptor.
The fest is part of the Fat Acceptance series that Timmerman started almost 2 years ago.
I think it's so necessary to push those boundaries for ourselves and for society and just in general.
The Fat Liberation Fest ended here on the quad, where Timmerman brought the students to face off with a scale. But it wasn't your typical face-off.
With cheers in the background, students destroyed the scales with a hammer, freeing themselves from the stress of worrying about their weight.
Violence doesn't always have to be negative. I think it can be positive, releasing, and healing at the same time.
Students say they're relieved after destroying the things that caused them anxiety for years.
It was good. It was a lot more releasing than I thought it was going to be.
I've been waiting to do that for a really long time, definitely. That scale has been in my house since I was a kid, and it was so nice to just be able to get rid of it.
Verl Johansson, ATV News.
Timmerman says the Inclusion Center will be hosting a support group from October 4th to November 10th to continue conversations about fat liberation. We'll leave a sign-up link on our Facebook page.
It's kokanee salmon spawn season here in Cache County. Paige Johnson shows you how you can safely visit them.
Gorgeous mountains and brightly colored leaves are popular this time of year, but they aren't the only thing bringing people to Porcupine Dam.
We came mainly to see the fish. It's fun to see them, and they're changing colors, and then see if they can make it up to the top.
The kokanee salmon is one of the only species of salmon that live in a lake. They swim upstream here and turn this bright red color to lay eggs and continue their life cycle.
The males will actually morph physiologically into growing what's kind of referred to as a humpback, and they'll actually grow kind of a hook jaw.
Vadrine says that the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources has seen an uptick in visitors to this area, which has taken its toll on the salmon spawn.
It's a very accessible area. There's no barriers, nothing between you and the fish. The female salmon will actually lay their eggs in the gravel. Part of the problem with walking through the water is even if you're walking and you don't think you're stepping on a fish necessarily, there's a good chance that you may be stepping on those unfertilized eggs or fertilized eggs, even though you can't see them.
Bottom line, Vadrine says to stay out of the water and enjoy the view of the fish from the riverbank. Paige Johnson, ATV News.
You can visit our Facebook page for more information on the kokanee salmon and how to report wildlife harassment.
October is National Domestic Violence Month. Morgan Perkins joins us live in the Ag Science Building to tell us more. How are you doing, Morgan?
Hey Katie, I'm doing great. Utah State University has a project that helps honor those that have survived domestic violence. There's a clothesline project displayed around campus. The t-shirts stand as a silent reminder that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men in Utah are affected by domestic violence each year. Each t-shirt that is hung up symbolizes a survivor.
I think it's really neat that they have real victims of domestic violence kind of put themselves out there on t-shirts and sign it and just show people that, you know, it can happen to anybody.
The event coordinator, Sarah Timmerman, says they started displaying this in the early 2000s here on campus. You can find these displays around USU campus inside the business building, education building, library, junction, agricultural science building, and the Taggart Student Center. The project will be up through the month of October. Now you can go to our Facebook page to learn more. Reporting live from the Agricultural Science Building, I'm Morgan Perkins.
Thanks, Morgan. So you've got weather coming up. How's it looking out there?
Well, it's looking pretty sunny outside. The current temperature right now is 77 degrees, and we'll talk more about weather after the break.
It's kind of silly that we like to do these things when you really think about it. Who actually likes to go around 100 miles?
Thanks, Morgan. Coming up, we'll show you why this runner ran the furthest she's ever run, all in one weekend.
Sharing paint and tape and stuff, and it's good to meet, you know, other Aggies.
You may have seen the roundabout at the TSC closed down. We'll show you why Aggies are taking paintbrushes to the street.
The surplus store. Someone's trash is about to be my treasure.
We have cords and cables here. We have bags full of towels and sheets. Do you want this fold-up mattress? Because we don't.
We got keyboards, paint cans, whatever this is, typewriters, computer monitors.
It's destiny on the line, and we want you at surplus.
Products are not guaranteed to work. All sales are final. This commercial is not endorsed by Utah State.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome to ATV Weather. I am here, your host, Morgan Perkins. Here we're looking at the national radar with light precipitation happening through the northeastern version or place of Utah. So it'll slide right past us, and Utah's actually a lot calmer than it was last week. So now looking at this, there's precipitation happening in New Mexico, Kansas City, and New York. As we start in our state radar, we can look to see that there's not a lot going on. Pretty dry, and yet we'll go for a great weekend. Now as we jump into our 7-day radar, we can see that throughout the week, it'll be sunny and 75. So when we have the homecoming game on Saturday, you'll be able to have a light jacket in the morning, and it'll be cool enough for that. Then moving on in the afternoon, you can take that off and enjoy what might be our last weekend of warm weather. So now we head over to Tuesday, where there might be some precipitation happening through Tuesday, and cooler temperatures will be here. And that's all that we have for weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Morgan. 100 miles. That's how far racers ran through the Bear River mountain range. I'll show you what runners went through to finish this race.
Hello. 109.
Monica Schnitzler joined hundreds of runners to check in the day before the annual Bear 100. For Schnitzler, preparation goes beyond waiting in line for a bib number and unloading her drop bags.
I did a 108K race in Idaho in June as kind of a training run for this, just to see what it would be like to do something even bigger than what I'd done previously.
Along with the physical training, Schnitzler made sure she had the food and gear to keep her going on the trail.
Headlamps, light. I've got a jet boil in there, like should we need to boil water for anything.
I'm standing at the start of the race where runners are about to begin the 100-mile journey to Fish Haven, Idaho. Only 1% of those miles are run on pavement, and you're looking at it.
As runners and family gathered before the race, Bear runner Scott French was unconcerned.
I'm not one who worries, so I don't think about anything. I'll just start running and it all fades to black.
For French, there isn't a process or training regime. To get through this journey, it's all about living in the moment.
I think as little as possible, and so that just happens, along with a lot of other crazy things when you run and don't think. Sometimes I get lost.
Family and friends cheered as runners took off. With the cutoff of 36 hours, racers will cover 100 miles with over 20,000 feet of climb and over 20,000 feet of descent. This is Schnitzler's first 100-mile ultra run, but she's had the experience to form a positive running mindset.
You have to go in knowing that you are going to feel happy and sad and tired and fatigued and frustrated and probably a little grumpy at times. And you just kind of have to be okay to sit in those feelings and understand that wherever you are, that's the only place that you need to be.
Running along the single-track trails and dirt roads, at times Schnitzler was alone. Other times, she had her pacers to keep her company.
Oh, I feel great. Good. Happy to be out here.
In just over 29 hours, Schnitzler finished her first 100-mile journey, celebrating the success with her friends, her family, and a few tears of happiness.
Schnitzler says she gets her motivation to run ultra races from the community of like-minded people that push her to see what she's made of.
It's homecoming week, and you might notice the bus loop covered in murals. This is the annual USU street painting. USU organizations and clubs come to Champ Drive to paint messages and designs.
I've actually really enjoyed getting to know some of the other clubs around us. We're sharing paint and tape and stuff, and it's good to meet, other Aggies.
The Traditions Committee president says 72 clubs signed up this year, which is over 300 people. She also says the purpose of this is to bring clubs together and spread the Aggie spirit. The paintings can last up into an entire year until next year's organizations come back and paint all over again. It must be chilly because the Grizzlies are piling on. Coming up, Marcus Lamb will tell you how Logan Grizzlies won after 2 straight weeks of defeat.
I know myself as well as the other team members were pretty upset about it.
We'll show you why this equestrian and her team are upset with recent changes.
Students were kicking and jumping to the top at USU's climbing club tryouts. We'll show you how they changed the wall for the event.
listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
BYU. Welcome to ATV Sports. I'm Marcus Lamb. A yearly tradition of BYU and USU football is coming to an end. Kaylor Peterson went to Provo to show us what this tradition is and why it's ending. Let's go, kids! Let's go! BYU students and fans walked the street of Canyon Drive before the game. BYU's team walk, led by the cheerleaders and the band, had fans there to cheer them on. USU had a quiet team walk towards their locker room.
How do you feel about the game tonight?
I'm really nervous. Really nervous. My son is the quarterback and it's his first start.
Cooper Legaw would start tonight, as quarterback Logan Bonner had a season-ending injury.
This is the 91st time in 100 years where BYU and Utah State have gone head-to-head. However, this is the last game for the next few years, with BYU making its move to the Big 12 Conference.
USU running back Calvin Tyler Jr. had 104 rushing yards. USU wide receiver Brian Cobbs gave the Aggies 2 touchdowns with 96 receiving yards. Cooper Legaw had his very first career rushing touchdown. BYU's Cody Eaps received 86 yards and helped the Cougars with 1 personal touchdown. In the second half of the game, the Cougars pulled ahead with quarterback Jaron Hall throwing touchdown after touchdown.
Well, you want to win. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to find a way to win. And I thought we put ourselves in a position to be there. You want the kids to get the win, but I also believe we won in a way that our kids are starting to gain confidence in what we're capable of doing.
Tough game. Excited we got the win. Give a lot of credit Utah State. I thought Blake Anderson and staff had the guys ready to play. They did some different things, some things that we weren't expecting, especially on the offensive side. But I thought they played really well on defense too, and we definitely can play better ourselves.
The tradition of the wagon wheel will stay in Provo for the next few years. Kayla Peterson, ATV Sports. The Aggies will continue conference play against Air Force on Saturday here in Logan. All right, now let's go ahead and catch up on high school football with last week's bout between the Mountain Crest Mustangs and the Skyview Bobcats. The Mustangs brought their A game, but the Bobcats kept up their defense from the first quarter. Brooks Rigby, seen here, made sure that the defense was tight. Skyview's offense was prime as well, thanks to Brevin Ebert, a senior. Bert kept a dominant presence on the field, scoring 4 touchdowns and barreling through as many Mustangs as he could, sending Mountain Crest packing and inching ever closer to the region title. The game ended up with the score here, Mountain Crest 14 and Skyview 35. Also on Friday, the Logan Grizzlies faced off against the Green Canyon Wolves, and something must have been in the air here because the defense for the Grizzlies was rock solid, causing many body piles and 5 turnovers for the Wolves, denying them any momentum on the field. Grizzlies' Titan Mason barreled through for a touchdown and received another one with ease, giving them a 14-point lead. The Grizzlies finally received a win after 2 straight rough weeks with a final score of 14-28. Last Thursday, the Utah State women's volleyball team held their own in Nevada, moving on to San Jose on Saturday. The Aggies started off strong with a 25-23 set. However, the Spartans caught up in the second match thanks to a hardened defense. Even though USU held on, they were destroyed after a set point of 24-19. And by the final set, the Aggies lost 3-1. They will be facing off against San Juan tomorrow at 7. The USU cross-country team attended the 48th annual Paul Short Run on September 30th. The men's team finished 3rd out of 46 and are now ranked number 5 on the Mountain Regional rankings. The women's team finished in 4th and they're ranked 6th. Over in Colorado, our own women's soccer team faced off against Colorado State with the match ending in a draw of 2-2. The Aggies held its place in the Mountain West standings. All right, You're all caught up on sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Marcus. There is one less sports team at USU, and it's left team members with a burr in their saddle. The USU English equestrian team announced on their Instagram and Facebook pages that due to travel, financial costs, and region issues, the team is, quote, not feasible to continue at this time.
We no longer have a region to show in because no one else is active in our region. Only one other school is, and we weren't invited back to our guest region.
For the past few years, the team traveled to Colorado to compete in their region, but they didn't receive an invitation to compete this season.
The climbing wall at the Arc is always busy. Virl Johansson shows you why the wall could get even more crowded.
Climbers like this guy struggled to get their footing at the tryouts for Utah State's competitive climbing club at the Arc over the weekend. Some of these struggles came from the new routes on the climbing wall.
For tryouts, it's kind of like a mock competition. It's not a full competition. So instead of taking down the entire wall, we're taking down about half of the wall.
Bradbury and other climbers redesigned half of the routes on the wall the night before tryouts to challenge potential club members. Even with the changes, climbers are unsure if Utah State has the facilities to compete with other nearby schools.
We don't have the most square footage in our walls. The Arc is pretty new, so this is a pretty cool facility, and I know our wall is one of the tallest in the state.
Justin Gentry says that while the wall of the Arc has a limited number of routes, it is an easy place to learn how to climb.
Going from never climbing to like getting into it, it's great startup.
I'm on the climbing wall here at the Arc. While the wall here at Utah State is smaller than walls at other schools, club members believe it's more about quality than it is quantity.
I don't think the actual size of our gym is a super big hindrance on being able to do what we need to do to train and get better.
But not everyone sees it like Bradbury does.
They can only change the volumes up so much.
Despite having fewer routes, Bradbury says he hopes to host larger competitions in the future.
There is a chance that eventually we might host other universities here to compete.
Virl Johansson, ATV News.
For more information on the Competitive Climbing Club, click on the link in our Facebook page.
USU students hit the gridiron this week as the annual Powder Puff tournament took place at Legacy Fields. Noah Giles showed us how the girls played.
The energy, the excitement, and the fun. It's all part of Powder Puff here at USU, but what exactly is it? It's a flag football tournament put on by the university that only girls can participate in. Powder Puff provides an opportunity for girls to get out of their comfort zone. This year, there are 8 total teams of at least 7 players each.
It's a great opportunity for us to come out and play a sport and have a lot of girls supporting us, but also like we have a lot of great guys come out and support us, like our coach.
Powder Puff hasn't been around forever though. In fact, this is only the 2nd year since the COVID-19 pandemic they've had it here at the university, but they are trying to reestablish this tradition.
I played Powder Puff in high school and I had so much fun with I played with a lot of my high school teammates. This was kind of an opportunity to do it at a college level.
It was obvious that the girls were having a good time after winning one of their games. Michaela Roberts says that there should be other tournaments for girls just like Powder Puff because of how much fun they had.
There should be like a frisbee one, a basketball one, a volleyball one. Like, what are we doing? There should be so much more. The boys get too much attention. I'm sorry, they get too much attention. So there should be more.
The tournament ended around 9:30 with the championship game being held in Maverick Stadium. Noah Giles, ATV News.
Campus Rec is hoping to get more events like this in the future.
So what about you, Katie? Have you ever done a Powder Puff game before?
I was going to, and then I broke my foot, so I didn't.
Amazing timing.
What about you?
It's not really my thing, but those girls looked like they were having fun. Thank you for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
You can find this edition and more on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with a few more shots of the Porcupine Dam. Have a great week, Cache Valley.